Hi, everyone. My name is Julie Murtho, and I'm with the Alliance for Nonprofit Impact. And this is Voices of Impact. And our goal is to increase the visibility of nonprofits and the impact they're having on Rhode Islanders. Today, I'm with Akeem Lloyd, the Executive Director of A Leadership Journey.
Hello,
Um,
everyone.
so today, we'll learn more about A Leadership Journey and the work that they're doing. So, Akeem, can you tell us more about your organization and what should the people know about your mission and who do you serve?
Yeah, so first of all, so proud of you, Julie, and all the work that you're doing and have done and will continue to do. My name is Akeem Lloyd, and I am co-founder of A Leadership Journey, and this is our way of creating an opportunity and a space for young people uh, to continue to receive support. Um, a leadership journey was founded and started on really four big values. And those four values for us consist of equity, access, mental and emotional health, and education. And based on these four values, we then went and created pillars that would help guide us as we did our best to make these values come to life. So for us, when we talk about equity, what does that mean, right? I know it's kind of a buzzword nowadays, but for us, it is the financial disparities that hinder Black and Brown youth, BIPOC youth from marginalized identities and vulnerable backgrounds from being able to afford cultural, education, opportunities, exploration opportunities, as well as just in general, um, as it pertains to services and opportunities. uh, we understand that young people ages 13 to 18 who we are serving and goals at times from 10 to 18 do not always have the financial resources or funds that it takes to do a lot of the things that we're offering, and or just uh, some of the things that, like, if they were older and had a job, they would be able to do. And I'll talk a little more about that. But we know that financially, um, this is a challenge for a lot of the young people that we serve and just live in the city. And then when we talk about access, right? Like, what does that mean for us? It was being able to look at the global leaders who participate in ALJ and young people in the community, from these marginalized identities who don't always have access, right, to different resources and opportunities. And we said we want to be able to try to give them this access or build a bridge for them to have access to it. And one of the bridges that we would build would be through the way that we financially support them in being able to participate in these activities. And then we have mental and emotional health, which we know whether PTSD, personal or environmental stress, Black and Brown youth, BIPOC youth from these marginalized identities experience a high amount of stress, with which impacts their health and wellness. And we as an organization said that we can't support the whole child without making this a priority. And a big part of what we do as an organization is supporting the whole child. A leadership journey was built on this foundation of youth development. And so these values and these pillars all are built around supporting the whole child and doing our best to make sure that they are taken care of and supported, just like many of our peers in the state. And then we have education. And for us, we understand that learning takes form in different ways. It's not just in the classroom. It's a big emphasis on being in school and getting, worldly education in the classroom. And we just know that that's not the only form. And from what we've learned through our experiences and through this organization, is that it is through diverse educational experiences that creates a diverse educational background. And so when we are giving young people or being able to provide young people the opportunity to participate in a travel experience in which we do, it provides this global education that they're not able to get in the classroom the same way that they're able to get it on the ground in person with the people in the community. And then we sat down, we said, now that we have these values, what are going to be our pillars, right? What's going to help us kind of form and shape ALJ and how we go about doing this work? And one of the pillars is self-awareness. As I mentioned, youth development is an educational background of my own personal experience in terms of my own education and how, excuse me, I went to school for it. And so when we sat down as a team, we said, well, young people and getting young people to understand who they are is extremely important, right?
Mhm.
When you know who you are, no one can tell you who you aren't. And it is through self-awareness that we emphasize this for youth to understand the importance of knowing who they are, how they feel, why they feel what they feel. And when you are more self-awareness, you are more confident. And when you are more confident, you are more comfortable. When you're more comfortable, then you're able to actually express yourself. And now we have young people who's able to use their voice to say, yep, this made me mad, and this is why, right? And so getting to the root of making sure that they understand the why behind their feelings and what cultivates those feelings to be what they are. Because when we're able to address that, then we can address what's going on and then provide support systems around that. And then the next pillar is leadership. And for us, in the name and title Leadership Journey, we know and we understand that your leadership journey is exactly what it is in our title. And that is, it is a journey. It is not a destination that you try to achieve and obtain, because you can constantly learn and grow no matter what age you are, no matter where you are in your career, no matter where you are in your life and your lived experiences. There's always something that you can try to learn, grow in, and that's what we are doing our best to try to really help young people understand, is that your leadership is a journey. Um, and through leadership, what does that mean? We acknowledge that um, through the work that we do, advocacy and how we go about providing our advocacy development curriculum is extremely important to the leadership piece, because it is through this leadership discussions that they're having around advocacy that creates the um, the light bulb that goes off, that helps them understand the importance of involvement and how they can have a positive impact on a larger scale and smaller scale. But it starts with them being able to see themselves as a leader and being able to recognize how their voice can play a huge role in helping to move our society forward. And then that stems into global citizenship, right? Because now that we talked about, the self-awareness piece and being able to understand and identify what type of leader are you, right? Um, Everybody has a role, and whether you're the person in front with the blowhorn, or the person in the middle, or the person all the way in the back, everybody has a role to play. And we want young people to understand and be comfortable with each and every one of those leadership roles. And so how does that fit into how we talk about global citizenship? A leadership journey puts a lot of emphasis on wanting to help young people see themselves as global citizens, not just US citizens, but global citizens. And through our global citizenship discussion and conversations with them, what we do is we want them to be able to embody empathy with more intent, being able to use their voice to advocate for those who are local and abroad experiencing injustice. And that can be anything from as big as um, environmental injustice, or as something as small as removing police officers out of their schools. Is that we want young people to understand that what's happening in Rhode Island isn't just happening to them here, but there are young people who are experiencing similar challenges across and communities across the globe.
Mhm.
And so through this global citizenship discussion, they understand that when they do advocate, they're advocating for everyone, not just those who live here in Providence. And then at last, we then have the pillar of mental emotional health. Again, focusing on getting young people to understand you by choosing to go this route, right? To be an advocate, to get involved in social justice and advocacy, no matter what you choose to do in life, firefighter, lawyer, dancer, um, athlete, your mental and emotional health is important. And so through ALJ, we make sure that we prioritize that, and get them to understand that it's important to prioritize it for themselves. And then there's Ubuntu, which is we educate the global leaders on the importance of being able to see themselves in each other. The more they practice Ubuntu, the more they can lead with love.
Mhm. Akeem, can you please talk more about the programs you offer? You mentioned the pillars, the mission. How do you drive that through your programming?
Yeah, great question. Thank you. And so we utilize 5 programs that really touch on all of these pillars and all of these values. And the first program that we that is available or is offered is our educational leadership program, which is short for our ELP program, ELP. And this runs from September all the way to May. And what happens during this program is the global leaders come together, and on 3 Saturdays a month from 1 to 4 p.m., we sit down and we have all of these self-awareness development, leadership development, all of the skill-based development that young people, that global leaders get in ALJ. A lot of it takes place in this centralized program called the ELP program, and it is where our curriculum seeks to equip the global leaders with educational advocacy development and the tools and resources and language for prioritizing their health and wellness. And so through this, they are able to produce a research portfolio. They develop a strong college application, a resume, and they also expand on their critical analytical thinking skills, their public speaking, their facilitation skills, their research skills, and more. And this is where a lot of the growth takes place in this program when we come together out of those 3 Saturdays once a month. And then the second program that we offer, it funnels from the ELK program into our summer programs. And we have 3 summer programs that take place typically all at the same time. And the first summer program is our Ubuntu Summer Health and Wellness Program. Now, the Ubuntu Summer Health and Wellness Program is a 12-week program that takes place every Saturday over the course of the 3-month period, from, excuse me, June, July, August. And during this program, we offer hands-on educational and interactive health and wellness activities promoting healthier self-care habits and practices. And the goal of this summer program is to make sure that not only are they learning diverse ways to take care of themselves and their health, but to also provide them with the resources that they will be able to implement throughout the summer program and beyond. Where at the end of this program, each participant is tasked with creating a self-care routine so that when the summer ends, they are now entering the school year with a self-care routine that they know works for them. And so we put our money towards, we put our donation, the money that we receive from donations towards the summer program to make sure that young people are prioritizing their health and wellness. An example of what the summer program would look like, the Ubuntu summer program would look like, would be one Saturday we have a yoga professional come in, teach yoga, and we provide all of the yoga mats to the participants. And that yoga practitioner will talk about the benefits of yoga, and then share with them a routine that they can take with them. And then the next week may be a hike where we get out in nature. And then the following week may be a healthy nutrition class where we actually bring in a chef, and that chef teaches them how to make a healthy meal. And we go out and purchase all of the ingredients for the young people to utilize as they are cooking at the same time that the chef is cooking. So those are just three examples of how diverse the curriculum is in terms of getting young people to be exposed to different self-care activities. And then the third program, which also takes place in the summer, would be our Cultural Exploration and Education Program, our SEEP program. This program is a 2-week international cultural education program that takes place in another country. And so the funding that we get, we utilize to make it equitable and accessible for global leaders to travel out of the country. And during this 2-week time period, global leaders are connecting with young people their age and having conversations and discussions around what impacts their communities, both in that country as well as here in the US. And then we also have opportunities where the young people have engaged hands-on uh, cultural exchange activities where they are now learning from these young people the norms and the culture and the systems that that said country is now teaching us. And what ends up happening is we always typically see how when we bring this group of young people together, how more energized they are to come back to the US, to come back to Providence, more inspired to get involved, more inspired to utilize their voice, more inspired to do community service, more inspired to like take the leadership skills that they've gotten through this program and put it into play. But more importantly, they also come back with this global lens, right? Which helps them understand the world at large, and how the similarities and differences don't always make us, different as we may think, but genuinely brings us closer together, and helps us understand, right, that there's a challenge in different countries that young people are facing here, and it becomes this very powerful, impacting experience that you can only get if you travel, right? You can only get if you go. You can't get that sitting in the classroom. And so this was our way of wanting to create another bridge to help expand the academic and cultural richness that the young people are experiencing growing up between these ages. And so this program ends up becoming one of our more popular programs because of what it offers. And then that fourth program, which is also a summer program, is our Moccasin Immersion Program, our MIP program. And the MIP program is a study abroad program where the global leader gets to stay in said country for the entire summer. And so we use our funding to pay for the experiences, for the travel, for all of the expenses that it will take for that young person to be in said country for the entire summer. And both the SEEP and the MIP program ends with a cultivating project, which becomes their thesis. And so at the end of these programs, both SEEP and MIP, participants come back with what would essentially be their college thesis, right? And this is what they use to create their portfolio when applying to colleges and putting it on their resume. And this thesis then becomes what they present when they return. An example of that would be one of the global leaders coming back and saying, you know what? I learned that the healthcare system uh, isn't as strong in the country that we visited, but I also believe that our healthcare system here in America can be better. And so I focused my thesis on improving the likes of a healthcare system for Black women, or improving the likes of a healthcare system for young people ages 13 to 18, right? And this project is what they're able to now take with them and put onto their college application. The fifth program, which we are still looking to launch, and we have plans to launch it very soon, is our Ubuntu Week program, where we will host our friends from other countries here in the States.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Keem. I've actually had the opportunity to participate in three of these programs, and it changed my life. I've been able to travel to the Virgin Islands, South Africa, and Senegal. And while abroad, I was able to, like Akeem said, develop my research portfolio. And my focus was on mental health and how it impacts Black youth and youth of color as a whole. And that has helped me become a better advocate for not only myself, but also my peers in Rhode Island and abroad as well. So thank you, Akeem, for the work that you're doing. So I shared a little bit of my story. Can you tell us a story that illustrates the impact that you're having, or a story that keeps you motivated to continue the work that you're doing?
Yeah. Um, as I try to shuffle through some of the folks. Um, so if I may, I'll share uh quickly a couple of different stories that speaks to each program, right? We've had global leaders participate in ALJ from seventh grade all the way up until 12th grade. We've had folks go from eighth grade, ninth grade to 12th grade, junior year, senior year. And so each story brings on different contexts. I'll share a quick quote from a participant who said, "This journey facilitated my growth as a person and as a leader. I gained confidence by allowing myself to be vulnerable in positions and speaking on personal experiences." There was an individual who started with ALJ who uh, had challenges at their school. And the challenges they were facing at their school impacted how they saw themselves and
Mhm.
how they saw themselves interacting in a world after high school. And so um, one of the pro partnerships that we have is through with Brown University's pre-college program. And again, focusing on equitable access, having this partnership with Brown University's pre-college program allowed for this participant to take college classes as a high school student. Now, what's the significance of this? Is that prior to this participant taking those classes, they were told by representatives at their high school that college wasn't and should not be an option for them. And when they shared this with us, we quickly encouraged them to apply to be a part of the Brown University pre-college program, in which they would receive 100% free tuition to participate. And they did. And that participant went, took a college level course, and performed extremely well. And after that program, when we spoke with that participant, they said, for 4 years or 3 years of my life, I have been told that I wouldn't do well in college, that college wasn't an option for me. And I just took a Brown University college course and did extremely well. And so their mental shift of themselves began to change. And not only did they begin to see themselves as being a college student, but they also began to believe that college was an option. And I'm happy to say that this individual not only is in their senior year in college, but also their last semester. But if we don't have that collaboration and that partnership with Brown University pre-college, this young person doesn't get the opportunity to take that college class, to even see themselves in a college environment. Who can only imagine what would have happened if that doesn't take place?
Mhm.
When we talk about the ELK program, you heard me mention how we have a diverse curriculum that touches on self-awareness and advocacy and health and wellness. So during the ELK program, we had a young man who, when he first started, was very closed off, very to himself. And we saw this young man not only take the steps towards becoming more vulnerable, not only take steps to becoming more vocal, but we saw him open up in ways around his mental and emotional health that he had never done before. But it started with the conversations, it started with the culture and the environment that a leadership journey put around him, to make sure that he understood that he was in a safe space, to make sure that he was in a brave space, and then pouring into him and giving him examples of what it looks like to be a young man of color and still be able to express yourself and still be strong. And
Mhm.
so to us, this is what we mean by supporting like the whole child, right? It's wrapping our arms around them and making sure that we're changing the perspective of how young people of what they've come into ALJ with, by providing them with more perspective so that they can grow before they exit ALJ and go off into college. But we also have um, a, a, a similar um, testimony from someone who participated in our SEEK program in terms of traveling out of the country. He said, I gained a new perspective on the definition of the word community. I
Mhm.
used to think it was a group of people sharing and just living in one space, but now I know it's more than that. And this individual was with us all 4 years of high school and traveled to 4 different countries. And so every country that he went to, he was able to see and hear and feel and understand this idea of community in different spaces from different leaders, right? And then be able to come back home and say, okay, now that I have this new perspective and definition of the word community, everywhere I go in life, this is going to be my approach on how to build community no matter where I am, no matter who I'm with, right? And so is something as small as that can be so big because now when this young man, right, who was also in his senior year of college, when he goes off to work, when he's working inside the groups, he's going to be able to look around and make sure that everybody in that group feels seen, feel heard, feel loved. Just because he has this new perspective of what community means. And so those are just a couple different stories in terms of young people in different programs that we have seen impact their lives. Um, and I'll end with this, which is the Ubuntu Summer Program. We had a young person who had never participated in some of the activities that we had that summer. And not only by the end of the summer did they create their routine, but they also they all am so as I'm smiling because the mother shared this story with me, but they added more self-care practices to their routine. And every morning, this student, middle school student, woke up an hour early to make sure that they were able to implement their self-care routine before school. So now not only is this young lady going to school feeling good, feeling balanced, feeling grounded, but
Mhm.
now they're also going to enter that school building feeling confident, feeling relaxed, feeling calm, and ready to learn.
Okay, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Keem. I'm really happy that you mentioned the partnership that you have with Brown Pre-College. I was able to participate in the program, and that also changed my life. I was able to see different careers I've never thought were possible, and that's what has really motivated me to establish and continue to pursue my own career goal. So thank you again, Keem, for giving me the opportunity to just explore and see different aspects of myself that I didn't know were possible. So thank you again. So our next question, can you please tell us some challenges that the organization is facing and doing the work that you do, and how can Redound help achieve or like be more effective in the work that you're doing?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so really a lot of our challenges and I mean any nonprofit in nonprofit in Rhode Island may experience some of these challenges as well, especially those who are small nonprofits, especially those who are small nonprofits led by people of color or BIPOC individuals. And or those who are medium sized and large, like is there's just a lot of discrepancies on support, but a lot of the challenges that we face as an organization is funding. Like that's the number one challenge for us is uh not not having enough funding, right? This is an organization that that started 9 years ago now, which I'm so grateful to be able to say we've been able to do this for 9 years. God's grace is because not only was that first cohort that we took to South Africa, life changing, but it was also because one of the young individuals who was on his way back to the US with us said, Mr. Akeem, is this a thing? Right. And so through his question of, is this a thing? It showed us that if we made this a thing, we made ALJ a thing, that more young people would benefit from it. But as we go into our ninth year, right, we are also understanding that without the proper financial funds to sustain ALJ, um, we are going to struggle to keep ALJ a thing,
Mhm.
because it is one thing to have volunteers come and support the work that you're doing, which has been ALJ for the last 9 years. Volunteer led, um, volunteer based, but I also know that is not sustainable, because folks have lives to live, they have mouths to feed, families to take care of. So leadership journey needs to get to a space where financially we're able to pay for the human capital that's going to help us continue these programs, which is going to help us from not potentially getting burnt out. It's going to help us to set a standard for what it looks like to work at a nonprofit and get paid what you deserve. But it starts with the finances. That's a big challenge for us, is getting funding that's going to help us sustain ALJ from an organization and human capital piece, right? We want to be able to say that we're not just relying on a 2-year grant to pay the salary for one person for 1 year and not know if we're going to be able to keep them for 5 or 7. Um, and then the other piece is the human capital piece, right? But it's like you can't have one without, well, having one without the other could lead to burnout. If we
Mhm.
had 20 people working with ALJ and putting time in, that could lead to burnout. And that's not something that I want this organization to be associated with. And so to be able to have 20 people, you need to be able to have the funds to also allocate to 20 people. And we're talking about the type of funding that's going to compete with for profits, because we know that the work a nonprofit isn't just charity work, right? It
Mhm.
is real lived experiences and real people that we are working with too. Um, and then between those two, um, which are our biggest challenges as it pertains to like how Rhode Islanders can help. Um, I mean, there's different ways outside of funding, but I'd be lying if I didn't prioritize the biggest way that Rhode Islanders can help a leadership journey, and individuals like Miles and Mia, um, individuals like Tiana and Danny, right, is to commit to being a monthly donor. If are not in a financial position to be like, yes, I can definitely sponsor a year's worth of a young person's access to all the programs that you all offer, knowing that we do it for free. Sign me up to be a monthly donor. $10, $5, $8, $20, whatever your level of comfort is. Becoming a monthly donor would be extremely helpful in helping this organization continue to sustain itself. The second thing, if not becoming a monthly donor, is something that is financially in your wheelhouse or accessible for you to do. If a one-time donation is all you can do once a year, then that also helps as well. If you are able to sponsor a young person for the year, then that would just be extremely big, because you sponsoring a young person for the year now frees up some of the grant money that we could use to put towards hiring someone, or bringing on more human support to support us on the organizational side of things. And then there's volunteering, right? You're like, look, money is out of the question, which I totally understand. we just developed a volunteer program, which we're going to be launching soon, that will allow us to engage our community in a more efficient and effective way for those who do want to just volunteer. And so those are ways that Rhode Islanders can help us in that way as individuals. Now, when we start talking about businesses and or larger, corporate entities, um, resources and sponsorships will play a huge role in your support. As a business or as a large entity, if you are able to sponsor um, a young person's expense, whether it's just for ELP program, or it's just for Ubuntu Summer, or it's just for the SEEP program, or just MIP. We can share what those numbers are. You can also go on our website and see, right, at leadershipjourney.org, what it costs us to be able to raise to then provide for that young person for the entire year. But for these bigger entities or these businesses, those are ways that you can definitely help financially and fiscally for us. In terms of resources, whether you're an individual or a business, a company, um, uh, resources vary on what it looks like. But what I will say is if you have any connections to airlines, if you have any connections to wellness practitioners, if you have any connections to um, uh, individuals who are in different fields of advocacy, right? Where we can, again, provide access to ALJ global leaders to those spaces, that would be extremely helpful for us. If you are a wellness business and you teach yoga or Pilates out of your studio, reaching out to us and saying, hey, you know, we would definitely love to work with you, and we can open up our studio to make sure that young people have access to this and take our classes. If you are a university and you're like, hey, we have a pre-college program like Brown University, we can definitely make sure that young people get the opportunity to see themselves as college students as well. Reach out to us and let's have that conversation on what it looks like. But those are ways that Rely on Nerves can help us. And then last but not least, which is free 99 to all, is help us share the work that we do. Um, whether it's bringing us up in rooms that we're not in, whether it's resharing anything that's shared via our social medias, but just helping us spread the work that we do. Um, I would be remiss if I didn't say another challenge that we face is this idea, right? Because the leadership journey has this perception that it's just a travel organization or provides travel to young people. But as you heard me mention, a leadership journey provides this holistic experience to our approach towards youth development. And travel happens to be one of those programs in which we do it. But there's this idea that traveling isn't or doesn't have the same value that other activities that could take place here in America in terms of impact has, or that travel doesn't have a high impact value on young people. And that's just not true. But it's a challenge that we face because there are foundations, there are different there are different entities who give funding who don't see travel with the same type of value that we do or that others have.
Mhm.
But and that impacts whether or not we as an organization get funding. And that's a big challenge for us. And so my hope is that whoever hears this or whoever is listening to this understand that we have been doing this for 9 years. There's organizations who've been providing this type of experience or something similar to young people. Um, Travel changes lives. And if it didn't, I assure you, I would have stopped 9 years ago. Travel changes lives, and we have to be able to understand that it is a form of academic richness and educational growth that's not being discussed when we talk about education and the educational gap.
Thank you so much, Akeem, for not only taking time of your day to share more about your organization, but for the work that you're doing. Honestly, I've been a part of a leadership journey for 3 years, and it definitely has impacted me in so many ways. Being able to travel truly opens my it opened my eyes. It made me see outside of myself. And you kept mentioning Ubuntu, but you didn't really clarify what that means.
Mhm.
Ubuntu itself is a South African philosophy, and it goes, "I am because you are. My humanity is tied to yours," and it's something that I live by now because being able to see different people and how we are more like than we are different, and just find that commonality, and it grounded my sense of humanity. So thank you again, Keem. And thank you others for watching this. And thank you so much.
Yeah. So, if I may end on this point, um, you know, I have the honor and privilege to now be interviewed by you. This organization has had the honor and the privilege to be a part of your journey and your personal individual leadership journey. And not to say that we were the only ones, because we know that you were so involved and so engaged, that it really did take a community. But to hear you also talk about what the organization has done for you means the world, because when we created ALJ, Julie, right? And everyone who came, who will come after Julie, and everyone who came before Julie, all the reasons why we said this program, this organization can work, right? And so thank you for allowing us to be a part of your life, for choosing us in ways that you didn't have to, and for believing in us and trusting us with your youth development, your leadership development, and more. When people ask, well, why ALJ, right? Being in a state that has the highest nonprofits per capita, so many people doing so many amazing work. I can rattle off a list of those who I know personally who are doing amazing work and also deserve funding and human capital, right? Like um, just as much as we do. But when you ask why ALJ, then I have to speak, not when you, but when people ask why ALJ, then I'm going to say why. It's because research, right? And researchers have shown that study abroad can result in a variety of outcomes, including a change of perspective, worldview, independence, self-confidence, intercultural development, global engagement, right? And the dispelling of stereotypes among participants and the world around them. There's this exchange between participants that show a greater personal growth, that become more sociable, extroverted, responsible, spontaneous, self-confident, right? And this takes place because of their experience through travel alone, right? We're not even speaking about the other programs that we offer. Why are services? Because out of school programs are important for youth engagement, and high quality organized after school and summer programs improves and promotes positive social skills. And being an out of school program like ALJ is designed to promote youth development and to help improve competence by making sure that we're wrapping our arms around young people from the time they walk into our doors to the time that they go off into college and beyond. And then we understand that through wellness, uh, the amount of young people who are experiencing stress, anxiety, isolation, depression, and more is high. It's been high and continues to be. Um, a leadership journey, putting our funding towards these different avenues of youth development and support and care, um, is to make sure that that number decreases, is to make sure that young people are taking care of themselves, is to make sure that when we talk about, you know, self-harm, that we understand that one is too many and
Mhm.
always too much.
Thank you, Kim.